Welcome to Celebrity Investing, your go-to source for insights, tips, and updates on navigating the exciting landscape of personal and global finance. Please like, share, and subscribe for more exclusive content. This is part 2 of Ponzi schemes explained: how to spot, avoid, and understand their impact. Civil lawsuits. Beyond criminal cases, victims may file civil lawsuits against the orchestrators. These cases can also target enablers, such as accountants or other professionals who failed to report suspicious activities. Asset seizure. Law enforcement often confiscates properties, luxury items, and other assets purchased with fraudulent funds. These are sold off to repay victims, though the recovery amounts are usually limited. Lifetime bans. In many cases, the perpetrators are banned from engaging in financial services or investment activities for life. This ensures they cannot start a similar scheme in the future. While the legal system does its best to bring justice, these cases are rarely a clean resolution. Victims often recover only a small portion of their losses, and for every fraudster caught, others still operate in the shadows. Famous Ponzi schemes in history. Some Ponzi schemes were so massive and deceptive that they made history. Their stories serve as cautionary tales of how greed and blind trust can lead to financial disasters. Let's explore a couple of the most infamous cases and the lasting impacts they had. The Bernie Madoff case. Bernie Madoff ran the largest Ponzi scheme in history, defrauding investors out of an estimated $65 billion. His scheme unraveled in 2008 during the financial crisis when investors tried to pull their money out and Madoff couldn't deliver. Madoff's operation appeared legitimate for decades, managing accounts for thousands of high-profile clients, including celebrities, charities, and institutional investors. He promised consistent returns of around 10% annually, even when the broader market struggled. This overly stable performance should have raised alarms, but Madoff's reputation and charm kept skepticism at bay. Behind the scenes, there was no real investment strategy. Money from new investors funded withdrawals for earlier participants, while fabricated account statements gave the illusion of success. When the market downturn caused a flood of redemption requests, the system collapsed. Madoff admitted to his sons that his entire business was one big lie, and the authorities soon arrested him. Madoff received a 150-year prison sentence, and his downfall devastated thousands of victims, wiping out life savings and charitable funds. The case pushed regulators like the SEC to re-examine oversight practices, but for many, the damage was irreversible. Other noteworthy examples. While Madoff's fraud made headlines, other Ponzi schemes also wreaked havoc on investor lives. Here are a few infamous cases. Charles Ponzi, 1920s, the scheme that gave these frauds their name. Ponzi promised 50% returns in 45 days, claiming profits from postage coupon arbitrage. His house of cards fell apart after swindling investors of $20 million, a staggering sum for its time. Alan Stanford, 2009. Stanford orchestrated an $8 billion Ponzi scheme by selling phony certificates of deposit, CDs, through his offshore bank. He funded a lavish lifestyle, but his empire crumbled when a federal investigation uncovered fraud. Lou Pearlman, 1990s-2000s, best known for managing boy bands like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, Pearlman ran a $300 million scheme. He duped investors with fake companies and false financial documents. His charm distracted from the lack of real returns. Scott Rothstein, 2009. Rothstein, a Florida attorney, sold fictitious legal settlements, ultimately pocketing $1.2 billion. He flaunted his wealth with luxury cars, resorts, and high-end real estate, which all came crashing down when his scam surfaced. Each of these schemes followed the same basic blueprint: promises of high, reliable returns with no risk and a convincing figurehead who knew how to earn trust. They also share one inevitable outcome: collapse, leaving victims financially and emotionally wrecked. Preventing Ponzi schemes. Avoiding Ponzi schemes requires being informed and vigilant. These scams thrive on misinformation, blind trust, and the promise of easy money. By staying educated and understanding regulatory protections, you can protect yourself and others from falling into these traps. Education and awareness. Financial literacy is your first line of defense against Ponzi schemes. Fraudsters often rely on people's lack of understanding about how legitimate investments work. The more you know, the easier it is to spot a scam. Understand risk versus reward. Real investments come with risks. If someone promises guaranteed returns with no downside, question it. No investment is risk-free. Trust your instincts if something feels off. Learn basic investment principles. Take time to understand terms like diversification, market fluctuation, and compound interest. These basics help you see through unrealistic claims. Ask for documentation. Legitimate opportunities are backed by licenses, prospectuses, or registration with regulatory bodies. Scammers either lack these or provide vague excuses when pressed for proof. Think of financial education like learning to read a map. Without it, you're wandering blindly in unfamiliar terrain. With it, seeing potential dangers becomes second nature. Don't be afraid to ask questions or seek professional advice when approached with an opportunity. Scammers thrive on your hesitation to appear unknowledgeable. Regulatory measures. Regulatory bodies like the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and similar agencies exist to enforce laws and protect investors. They play a key role in detecting and shutting down Ponzi schemes before they grow. But they can't do everything alone. Understanding their role is important. Registration verification. Legitimate investments are registered with regulatory authorities. Check the SEC's Edgar database or similar local resources to verify companies and offerings. If it's not listed or the details don't add up, walk away. Mandatory audits. Reputable firms undergo regular audits by third-party organizations. These audits verify whether funds are being used as promised. Scammers avoid scrutiny and may dodge questions about oversight. Whistleblower programs. Many countries have whistleblower protections and incentives to report fraudulent activity. These programs encourage insiders or observant participants to speak up without fear of retaliation. Regulations act like guardrails, guiding investors toward safe paths. That said, some scammers operate under the radar until their schemes collapse. This means due diligence on your part is just as crucial as regulatory enforcement. When laws and awareness work together, they form a powerful shield against scams. However, the fight against Ponzi schemes is ongoing. Staying proactive and informed is the best way to ensure you don't fall victim. Conclusion. Ponzi schemes may seem obvious in hindsight, but they often disguise themselves as legitimate opportunities. Their ability to exploit trust, greed, and financial uncertainty makes them a persistent threat in both personal and professional investment spaces. Protecting yourself starts with being informed, asking the right questions, and staying cautious when things sound too good to be true. Key takeaways. To summarize, here are the most important points discussed. Ponzi schemes rely on new recruits to fund payouts, with no real revenue behind the operation. Unrealistic promises of high returns with low risks are major red flags to watch for. Scammers mask their fraud with charm and trust, targeting individuals and communities alike. The consequences can be devastating, financially, emotionally, and socially. Legal systems work to hold perpetrators accountable, but victims rarely recover all their losses. Why vigilance matters. Falling for a Ponzi scheme doesn't just drain your bank account, it breaks your confidence and relationships. Scammers prey on the hope of easy money, but knowledge is your best defense. By staying alert, asking tough questions, and verifying investment opportunities, you build a barrier against fraud. The next time someone promises effortless wealth, stop and ask yourself, is this real, or just a costly illusion? Stay tuned and continue to watch our videos to gain valuable insights into the world of finance. Subscribe, like, and share to continue your journey to financial success.